Today is Saturday, January the 20th. It is about 12:20 in the morning, and yes, I'm making a video this late in the evening because um, I went to sleep, but then ended up waking up, and now it's like I can't go back to sleep. So hey, why not make a video? But I hope you're doing well. I hope that you had a good week this week. As for me, my week went well. Kind of just worked. Um, didn't do much anything else outside of work, so um, nothing out of the ordinary. It was real cold this week. Next week, we're expecting a lot of rain, so yeah, can't wait for that. But it's all good. It is all good. Um, but really, what I want to come on here and talk about is quiet quitting. Yes, let's talk about quiet quitting. Um, I made a video about quiet quitting in the past, but I kind of want to really break down kind of some of the reasons why we're seeing like more and more employees quiet quitting. Um, and one of those reasons being that, and I kind of wrote some notes here. So, and let me preface this by saying, or giving the real basic definition of what quiet quitting is. Quiet quitting is when you're pretty much come to the conclusion that it's best to just give bare minimum effort to your employer, and that's for a variety of reasons. But the main one being that um, the employer just doesn't feel like their contribution or effort to the team is it's not being recognized. And another reason is that they feel as though when they work hard, it's like they still get paid the same as somebody that barely does any work and that actually does bare minimum effort, because there's a person that does bare minimum effort, and they're like, why give all my effort and I'm not even gonna be like, compensated more because of me giving effort, you know. And so I can understand that. And a lot of these jobs, they have wages that are way too low. Like I say, if you're making under $20 an hour, um, it's gonna be extremely difficult to like retire in your 60s, because um, it's this country, this nation, this system here in the United States. Under $20 an hour, it's just not designed for you to like retire at that age. I mean, everything is way too expensive. Food, housing, um, gas, insurance, cars, you name it, appliances, everything is just too expensive if you're making under $20 an hour. And I think that's what the vast majority of jobs nowadays pay anyway. It's hard to find a job that pays over $20 an hour. And people feel as though, why give your all to a job that pays so little, and that your extra efforts, you're going out of your way, it's just not recognized. People want to feel like, okay, when they go out of their way at work, they want to feel recognized. You know, um, it's just one of those things that employees just feel like, okay, if you're gonna give me minimum pay, then I'm gonna give my minimum effort, just enough to keep my job. And so that's kind of what quiet quitting actually is. Um, so yeah, people are just tired of the whole thing where it's like they're not getting a fair wage and a fair chance at retirement, even though they give their best efforts at work. Um, you know, so I kind of want to talk about this clip I saw of Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. I don't know if she's still running. Um, I would hope not, because what she said really, like, it's really messed up that she thinks that it's a good idea to raise the retirement age past 65. So essentially, you got to keep in mind, these politicians, they don't really mind raising retirement. I mean, they kind of already did that. Um, I think you're not even eligible to get full retirement until you're like 67 now. Like, you have to wait till 67 if you want like the full complete, retirement, when it used to be 65. And now um she's saying she wants to raise that. So yes, this Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley, she said that 65 is way too low for retirement. And so, I mean, you see, they're already trying to raise that. And so people feel like, okay, I'm barely, gonna even be able to enjoy in retirement. So why not? Why give my all at work when it's like I might not even have a fair chance at retirement when I'm older? And a lot of Gen Zers like me, generation after me, when they come into the workforce, they're gonna have the same sentiment. Like, we kind of see the writing on the wall as far as this whole, like, system, employment, um, retirement, owning a home. We see that it's a lot harder than it used to be. And within the next 20 to 30 years, I don't know, it may be even harder to do, harder to own a home, harder to live, harder to buy food, groceries, you know, pay for gas. I mean, you know, political greed, corporate greed is at an all-time high, and we're the ones paying for it. So basically, Nikki Haley, this Republican presidential candidate, when she says that 65 is way too low for retirement, she's basically saying that, hey, people our age, we screwed up the economy. So now you, Mr. and Mrs. Gen Zer, have to pay for our mistakes. You know, it's kind of crazy. It's like they don't have the money to keep retirement age at 65, but they have a lot of money to, like, send all these, like, foreign interests outside the United States, and that's like a whole different conversation. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars being sent overseas, but you can't even keep the retirement age at 65. I mean, you screw up the economy so much, and we're the ones that pay for it. And this is why people can't stand politicians. It's crazy. And I think when she said that, um, she doesn't really mind saying that, since if you ask, like, most young people, they're more likely to vote Democrat anyway, and she's a Republican. So she probably knew that the young people, Gen Zers, people my age, weren't going to vote for her anyway. And so her older voter base probably wouldn't mind, because, hey, they're already promised, you know, a certain retirement age. But she was saying that, like, well, you know, We have to tell people in their 20s. Here I am, 25, looking at this. We have to tell people in their 20s that times have changed and that, we have to raise retirement age to reflect life expectancy. And so essentially, and she didn't really give like a specific age because apparently, according to her, she didn't actually run the numbers, so she doesn't actually know the correct age. But if you can't, or if you already can't get full complete Social Security until you're age 67, I wouldn't be surprised if they raise that to like 70 or 72 or 73, even 75, to make it where it's almost impossible for like anybody to like be eligible for full retirement, even though, full Social Security, even though they pay their whole life into the system. And yes, you're entitled to it at 65 because look, you paid into it. Think about it. They take Social Security out of your taxes. Matter of fact, the that's something that you have absolutely no choice in. They just take it out of your paycheck. That's what I mean. They take it out of your paycheck each time you get paid. So, you're paying into your own Social Security retirement no matter what. So, yes, you're entitled to that money. It's kind of crazy. They take the money from you and then tell you when you can receive your own money back. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So, it's just ridiculous when you really think about it. And it kind of leads back to quiet quitting. It's like people feel like, why give their all? Why give their effort in a job where, they're never going to be able to retire on anyway because it doesn't pay enough? And now we're in this system where they're trying to raise the retirement age. And honestly, I don't think she's going to win. But even if we had a Democratic presidential candidate, you just never know. They still might try to enact something, Congress or whatever. They could enact something like this. So it may not just be Nikki Haley, but we may have like, Congress or something trying to pass a bill saying like, hey, retirement age is now 70. It's now 72 in order to get full retirement benefits. And I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. I got to wait till 72 to get my money that I paid into the system all my life for. I'm 72. I'm all like way past my prime age. Like I've worked all my life. I gotta wait till I'm worn out and older, 72, then worked all my life just to get a full retirement. Like, that's why they're finding alternatives to this whole thing, man. Like, some people are just kind of going off grid, living off of RVs, living like in RVs. Some people are doing the van life thing. Some people just saying, hey, the writing is on the wall. Well, I go to work every day. And like I say, I can understand that sentiment. But then you have the other side that's saying, hey, this is why you need to find a job that actually has like a pension. And we have less and less jobs giving pensions out. Main jobs I can think of that still give pensions are like union jobs that still offer a union are the ones where you're gonna see like pension plans. So you work somewhere 30 years and you're guaranteed a pension retirement because hey, you gave 30 years to that corporation. You gave 30 years to whatever public service job that you had. So it's like, yeah, why not, get a pension, something that's going to be able to take care of your family when you're older. Not this whole thing where you work and you pay into the system and it's like you barely get anything out of it. And so people are saying like, hey, you need to go for a union job. A union trade job is probably the best because, you're going to get paid fairly. You're going to get um, the best benefits. And I can understand that sentiment as well. I mean, but people, just in general, people are just, you know, or in general, try to find, they want to find something that's actually going to allow them to retire because like I say, under $20 an hour, that's, you're not retiring, and so people are just, they're looking at this whole thing, this whole system differently. It's like you have to make moves differently than what our parents' generation, you know, the moves that they made when they were our age are different than the moves we have to make, you know. And I'm talking like young people in their 20s and 30s, you know. But I had some other notes written down about this Nikki Haley clip. Um, it's just funny because if it was up to these like older politicians that have been in politics their whole life and have never actually had a real job, they'd have us all working till the day we die, especially Gen Z, because apparently we're gonna live forever, right? According to her. um, and politicians, they don't mind raising the retirement age because if you think about it, they get to keep Social Security since they know that if less and less people can, less and less people can get it if they raise the retirement age. So all that money you paid in, the government gets to keep that. They don't have to pay it out, or they don't have to pay as much back to you, you know. Um, I just think if you want to vote for a politician, how about we have an actual politician that can actually relate to everyday American, which means that they're not super rich and actually worked a real job outside of politics. So like I say, I don't really think that being a politician is, you can't really relate to like the average everyday American if you're some rich politician, you know, like you just can't. Like some congressman that's been in Congress and politics their whole life. I get sick of these people. They try to act like they can relate to the average everyday American, and it's like they can't. I mean, they're a politician, you know. Um, they just can't relate to the average American, and so her generation, Nikki Haley's generation of politicians, screwed up everything, and now us Gen Zers have to pay for what they screwed up, and that's why a lot of us young people, we really don't respect a lot of the older politicians. It just seems like a lot of the older politicians don't really care about the American people, especially young people. They're out of touch with reality. They don't understand that everything is expensive and how us Gen Zers feel like, okay, like if you're an older person in the workforce, you're 40, 50 years old, you're on the, you're looking at retirement within the next like 10 to 15 years. It's a little bit different versus me who's 25, who's has 30 or 40 plus years left in the workforce, and like I said, a lot of young people my age, they looking at, okay, what can I do differently? The whole working 30, 40 years and retiring may not be the case. We may not be able to retire in 30 years if we don't do anything. That's why a lot of people saying, hey, we opting out. We're living out of a van and we just gonna kind of travel and live life, and like I say, I can understand that, people are taking money out of their 401ks, IRAs, and saying, hey, we just gonna live life, have a good time, and Like I say, I can understand, you know. But I kind of want to get back on quiet quitting. Yeah, people are quiet quitting because, they see what's happening. They don't feel like their work is being appreciated. Um, they feel like the wages are just not keeping up with, inflation, with their employer expects out of them. They expect a lot for, a wage that's under $20 an hour. You see what I'm saying? And this happens a lot in, like, I think corporate jobs. They want you to contribute all this work. And I mean other jobs too, but mainly corporate jobs. That's where you see a lot of quiet quitting. They don't contribute to the team. They don't speak up in like team meetings and stuff like that. They just go to work, do their job, and go home. They do enough to where they keep their job, but they feel like they're not going to do anything more than that. And that's due to, hey, the system of employment we live in. That's why I say get a trade if you can. The whole corporate job thing, I don't think I could ever do that. But, hey. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. It is about 12:40 in the morning. I'm debating whether I should upload this video now. I may or may not wait till tomorrow, but I mean later in the day today, because technically today is Saturday. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. And have a great weekend. Oh, and stay tuned. I may have some uploaded on Sunday as well, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, thanks for watching.